kind of wear a tie. Button up from 9 to 5. I tried that life but said goodbye. I'm not always polite, but I get the job done. Who says that work can never be fun? I'm simply unprofessional. Simply unprofessional. Yeah. Unprofessional. Yeah. Unprofessional.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Simply Unprofessional. I'm your host tonight, Devin. Joining me, we have Rob
Hey everybody, it's Rob.
and Apple,
Hello.
and our very special guest himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Donnie.
It's me.
It's me, Donnie-o.
Yo.
All right, tonight, we kind of sort of have a topic. We have like a smattering of topics. 1 second. One small child interruption later. I'm back.
Children exist. It happens.
Children do exist. Unfortunately. Okay. I can say that because they're not my children. I can say that because they're not my children, and I don't have any children as far as I know. All right. For the first topic for the day, I have a question. I thought it was going to be just me and Rob, so this actually is like a better conversation now that there's more people here. Because I know how Rob feels about like characters in an like RPG game. Like he has his like, I don't want to say he has like his like moral high ground, but I feel like Rob is like usually like the moral high ground when it comes to like PCs.
Yeah,
We'll
unless
see.
it comes
We'll
to
see.
relationships, because currently in Dragon Age I have 4 boyfriends, but it's okay.
There's nothing wrong with that if it's consensual.
They're Mormon, it's fine. They're brother husbands, it's fine.
Big poly relationship besties.
Yes, poly relationship besties. What would be your take, everybody, on playing in like an evil campaign? Like playing a D&D campaign where you are, the objective is you are evil.
If the whole party is on board, then fucking yeah. But like, don't be the one person who decides to be evil without conferring with the rest of the group first.
Yes.
Right.
My whole take on it. I know for a fact that Lex and Ryan, who've also been on this podcast before, are down for an evil campaign. So
I have thoughts for an evil campaign, but like if I tell you the thoughts, I can tell you the thoughts of the evil campaign. I would just never like go into it telling you guys it's an evil campaign. Basically my thoughts were based on Shield Hero, not exactly, but kind of the same logic where you are all like heroes of a kingdom and you do something like you're on a mission to save this kingdom and you do, but like in the process like something goes slightly wrong, or like something gets exposed and basically the crown turns you evil. So I would love to see like the player's perspective from that, where like you go in building your character to like you're these like arduous heroes of this kingdom, and then you basically get thrown under the bus by the kingdom, and because of that, you're shunned by everybody, and you're treated as like scum. Like you go from having parades thrown in your honor to you walk down the streets and you're getting peddled with garbage. And there's not like a whole like I would love to do like a kind of like a slow progression where like you guys are trying to like do things to clear your name, and then every step of the way it gets progressively worse. So you end up just being like, I just would love to see like the collective group like breaking point where they're just like, you know what, fuck it, you guys want to treat us like this is how we're gonna be. And then just letting that kind of naturally and organically happen. I'd be really curious to see how that would like play out like group wise, like because I'm sure you would have people on board to like do that sooner, and then you'd have people trying to like hold out to the last moment before like they hit that path, and you might have some people who would never who would like I'd rather die hated than like actually become what they like say I am, kind of a deal. I think that'd be like a really cool like game concept idea. But I also think it's like a high, not like a high bar, but it's kind of a high bar game.
Yeah. Well, they do.
You need like the right kind of people and everything else. So, like, Rob, what's your take on doing an evil campaign? Would you ever be down for something like that, or it's not in
Mm,
your
like
moral wheelhouse?
I would agree to it, but I don't think I'd be able to pull it off. Like I can't be mean. Like even in video games,
Mhm.
like the renegade path and stuff, I try it and then I'm like, no, I can't be this mean.
Now, if you
I
found yourself
get
in
that.
my game situation, how would you react? Do you think anyway? You found myself in a situation where like you went in thinking you were the hero, and then everything you did was turned and painted you in the light of a villain. Do you think you
Yeah.
would eventually
I-
break and be like, well, you know what? Fuck these guys.
I think the most I'd be able to like accomplish is the what, suffer the consequences of your own actions kind of thing, where it's like, oh, help us. I'm like, nah, you don't want my help.
I know
But
how
I
I could
don't
get
know that
Rob
I
to
could
turn though.
actively be like,
I know how
nah.
I could get you to turn.
Oh yeah.
I would just post slanderous posters of you being a dog abuser.
Oh yeah, they're
The
dead.
kingdom, everyone in the kingdom thinks you abuse animals.
I would just blow up a tower.
That's so oddly specific, Donnie. What on earth could you be referencing?
Time out. 5E. Oh, okay. Time in.
Dear FBI agent, it's not real, I promise.
Or is it? I mean,
Or
we are
is
we are sponsored by the FBI. I haven't brought that bit on here in a while. We are
Oh
sponsored by the
shit.
FBI.
Yeah, how you
Well-
doing,
This
Bill? How you
podcast
doing,
now brought
George?
to you by the FBI.
I named him.
TM.
I mean, I'm cool with that, George. I mean, honestly, I think Craig is really the agent of the FBI. And that's why like
Right.
we've had a lot of our issues have been when like Webby's recording and it's not with Craig on there. He gets angry and like disrupts the system because he can't spy on us anymore. Craig is the op
Craig is a vampire. He has to be invited in every time.
vampire. He really is. He actually is. He's according to this picture, he's like a vampire beaver. Which is
A beaver.
bear.
What?
He's a vampire beaver or a bear.
Huh.
Which yeah, I don't really I can't tell by the picture. He's either like a really shitty beaver or a bear. I really can't tell. He also could be a dog. I don't know. This picture is very ambiguous for Craig.
They want
With that
Craig to
being
be whoever you want Craig to be.
Yeah, Craig. You know what? It's 2022. I'm sorry for putting a label on you, Craig. You be whoever you want to be. You be whoever you want to be, Craig. I'm here for you. And my Panda Express fortune cookie, perfectly apt. The fortune is you are perfect the way you are. So, Craig, you are perfect the way you are, says Panda Express. So you be you. But obviously Webby couldn't be here tonight. He is recuperating and prepping up for something hopefully epic tonight. We shall find out. The world
Session
may never.
1.
Well, yes. With that being said, I mentioned I feel like this game would be a game that would be semi hard to pull off, because you kind of don't know how your players are going to react to it, and it will either work well or it will go over bad, in my personal opinion.
And here's part of my thought on that. I feel like talking about things like you can give your player a heads up of what you want to do so that everyone's having a good time without spoiling how it's going to happen. You're going to be like, hey, I might want to take your character down paths where you might not be as liked as you want to be. Like, is that something you want to explore? Because everyone wants to get something different out of D&D. And like, for example, like Webby asked us at the very beginning, whenever I first ever started playing with him, he's like, hey, like, what are some hard no's? Like, slave, like children being slaves, like anything like that. Like, what would absolutely make you have a horrible time? And like, I feel like that's a very valid and fair discussion anyone should have before starting with new people.
DM critting me. That would give me that's a hard no. DM cannot crit me.
That's not how that works.
You must actually, in the new rules of D&D, that is
I
how it
know.
works.
I don't like the new rules. Listen,
So
we
in
don't
the
talk
new
about D&D 1 right now.
In the new rules of D&D, they're made just
Get
for
crit
you.
on.
Don't like to get crit. Me personally, like, I always have a hard time playing a game. Oh, I don't have a hard time playing games with people. I
Just
have
period.
no, I have a hard time. Like, I always like Donnie has played in games with me. Rob has played in games with me. Like, I like games that are like dark, gritty, and like deadly.
Well, yeah, you like Vamp. That was one of your faves, wasn't it?
Vamp is my favorite system.
Yeah, it's very dark and
but, like,
gritty.
in general, like those, like I love like D&D combat. That's like, oh yeah, like I miss the old crit rules where you don't roll extra dice, you just double the damage you do, or you whatever the weapon says the damage you do. So like 3.5 D&D, like one of the weapons is like 4x on the crit damage dice. So if you roll max damage at like level 1, like you can get crit, and the weapon's like a 4x weapon. It's like cool. All right, I rolled 8 damage. Well, all right, as a level 1 player, the enemy crit you. All right, you got maybe, let's say, oh, you're a barbarian and you rolled have like a max constitution, or you're a really good con. You got like 19 health. I'm happy for you. He rolls an 8 on the damage, then times 4 is it. Well, actually, on paper, you're almost outright dead. So that's cool. But yeah, I do miss like that old school dynamic of damage and things like that. But my point of being in this conversation was, what are some like RPG or game ideas that you guys have had that you really haven't, like, do you think they'd be really cool if you could pull them off, but either the amount of work you would have to put into the game to pull it off or the amount of time it would take makes it almost unfeasible? Like, what are like your, like those high and like those pie in the sky RPG game ideas that you guys have, maybe like D&D or whatever it may be, game ideas?
I don't know if this fully counts, but so back in college, which was several years ago for me, or it was, yeah. So my roommate and I realized there at the time was no Avatar: The Last Airbender like tabletop role play game books, like guides, anything. Like it didn't really exist yet, which it currently does now. If anyone is an Avatar fan, if you didn't know, there has been a group that has made it, and it's really cool. So we tried to start fucking making like a monster manual and all sorts of shit, and my god. You ever try to make that shit from scratch? Like a bunch of them? Like it's not like just one or two. It's like we were gonna make the whole thing, and we both got overwhelmed very fast. And we're like, this is a lot of work, and then we didn't.
I think that could be a lot of work, because it's either like you run the risk of like when you run like down this weird road of like either you're just reskinning stuff that already exists, or you're making stuff unique. But then you're making it unique, and you don't really know, like, is this balanced? Is this not balanced?
Right.
And then you're like, now I gotta play test this. And then you're like, well, all right. And then by the end of it, you're just like, I basically just created a whole game. All right, cool. That happened. I can definitely see how that would be like a daunting situation. And I've been there. Like I tried to create a game when I was younger, like a whole ass game once before, and that didn't work well. Clearly, I still have a game idea now that I really want to do, but the amount of time, energy, and effort from everybody involved, not just myself, would be astronomical. Which I'll cover that in a second. Donnie or Rob, either one of you ever have like RPG ideas that you really want to like implement or do, or like game ideas or whatever that they're just the amount of time, energy, and effort is just not feasible?
Not recently, but when I was a teenager, I wanted to play D&D, but none of my friends like to play games where you have to use your imagination. Like they all hated
Fucking
it.
lame.
Yeah, but they would play games like Hero Quest and Dragon Strike and stuff that had actual board games. So I started developing a huge like multi-board game campaign where we could use like the different boards as different settings. And I started like for the D&D spell cards, I started making cards out of cardboard and like cutting them out and like describing what the spells did and all that. Like basically turn D&D into a board game. But the amount of work that it took just to get like the level 1 spells done, I was like, fuck this.
He's like, I bet.
Because that was back in like, I think it was like
no.
advanced D&D is when I was doing it, or
Oh Lord Jesus, second edition? Fuck
yeah.
that. Thacko? Nope, I'm good.
Yep.
I know Webby loves Thacko. If you ever want to get Webby going, just
favorite.
like, you know what they should bring back to D&D, Webby? What? Thacko. He will talk endlessly about his love for Thacko. Yeah, that goes great. Donnie, I know you've had some game ideas up in that noggin of yours.
Yeah. The first thing that came to mind is when I was still pretty unfamiliar with actual D&D. Me and Austin wanted to make a Dragon Ball Z version. We started to try to do that, and it didn't go very far.
D&D's like the best system for like a DBZ style game.
Yeah, I think it would be fun that way. We've tried doing D&D classes and just fluff it, but no.
Yeah, like
didn't
I
work.
guess you could like do the races and then like the class. It could work. Like that. I think the character building aspect would work really well. You know what? I almost like as stupid as this sounds. I feel like the best like experience for that would be like 4th edition D&D, which I hate 4th edition D&D.
I
But
didn't
I
mind it.
feel like I hated 4th edition D&D because of how they work with powers and shit, and they were trying to make it like almost anime, but like that would actually work out for that reason. And that's weird because I like anime, like I love anime. So like a game that's like they made it to be more like anime would be like, oh, that's a really cool idea. But I don't know. I feel weird about like my D&D games. Like I don't need that in my D&D game. Like I lean more towards like dark fantasy than like the other way, I guess, when it comes to D&D. But yeah, no, I think that would actually work really well because then like your like like your big finishing moves are like your dailies.
Yeah.
Your
Yep.
yeah, your
4th
like
edition would probably be better.
it would be like the best for that actually,
Yeah.
which is weird
Uh,
because like I hate 4th. Like I stopped like when 5th came out, I basically told Webby I was like, hey, if you're gonna keep doing distractions, like I'm down for that, but like if we don't move over to 5th, like I might be done. 4th, I was so bored with 4th edition after a while because it was just like you didn't have a lot of options. Like a lot of the powers were like real subpar. So like really like you're like, oh, I have like 10 powers to pick from. It's like, you got like 4, really. You got like 4. Yeah. So my undertaking that I've wanted to do for a while, and I just haven't got around to ever doing it because I just don't think it's ever going to be like feasibly doable with people. Would be with like a lot of people, or even really with anybody because nobody has much time in their hands. Would be to, and I think I've mentioned this to you before, Rob, and maybe you, Donnie, I'm not sure. Would be specifically like a Call of Cthulhu style game or something like that. But you sit down and you play it. You play out the narrative. You write the story, all that fun stuff. Play it out, and then once it's done, I would go back, listen to the dice rolls, listen to like how the dice rolls happened and the outcome, like what players wanted to do and everything, and then basically from the actual like live play, write a script of what happened, and then have each player like narrate and voice their lines in the script. So like I'd be like the narrator reading like an audiobook, and then for each individual person or line have them like go in and like do what they're doing and talk. Like if they're like start out the game, they're driving in the car down the road and they're having a banter about X, Y, and Z. Well, that's where we're going to come in on. You guys are going to come in and you're going to banter and you're going to be talking about stuff. And then let's say like in the original game, like a deer ran out in front of you, you have to make a check to like dodge it. You barely made it. You hit, you swerved out the way, but you caught a nail in your tire and ended up getting a flat tire. I would, instead of that being like the dice rolls, well, the outcome of the dice rolls would impact how I write the story. Then I write the story based on the income of the outcome of that happened. And then basically have that read narrated and then read like voice acted into, and then released as an episode, and release 2 episodes. You release like the raw actual play episode, and then you release like the summarized but not really summarized like voice acted episode where there's no dice rolls or anything being talked about or in like in-game stuff being talked about. It's just what happened. So it comes off more like a play or like a like a narration. I think that'd be a really cool thing to do, but this is a lot of time. It's a huge time investment. I think it'd be really cool though.
that would be really cool. You'd have to have people that are super dedicated to it.
That's the thing.
Dude.
Like, and it's yeah.
If I had like $1 bajillion, I would pay someone to like animate some of the cool things we've done in D&D games before. Like I would fucking script it out and like make a little fucking thing about it.
I have the money. I just want someone to animate Roy teleporting in the elevator. That's all I need in my life. Roy teleporting in that elevator. That's all I need. I'm good. I am good. All right. Well, that was that quick little El Topico. I have
El Topico.
El Topico. Jesus Christ, this hand of mine. Let's see.
Yeah, I've been like working on a world for like several months now. I don't work on it like all the time actively, but when I get new ideas, I like jot them down and stuff. Someday I feel like someone will get a play in there, but for now, I've played in there before, so.
Here's another little like quick one. Do you guys prefer like streamlined or more complex systems?
What would you consider? Like, what would you consider? I don't know. I don't know the.
Like, I would say like D&D falls somewhere like in the middle, where like if you take D&D at face value, it's very like not, especially 5th edition. I think it's pretty streamlined. It's pretty like these are your options at any given time. This is what you do. But there's a lot of optional rules and a lot of different things, like quality of life rules you can make to the game that make it much more like in depth and complex, like adding injuries into combat and all the other stuff, which aren't exactly like, some of them are like, some of that stuff's like in the rules, some of that's not. Like Vamp's another system I would say is pretty. You haven't played Mage, but like Mage, I would say is definitely more on the complex end
Oh
of
yeah.
like built-in systems, because like there's no real, like, your powers are not just defined, they're just, or they're not like listed, they're just what each individual like level in this power allows you to do. Gives you just like a general broad stroke idea, and it's your job as a player to then like put that application into like, put that knowledge into like a tangible application. So yeah, like that kind of a system, or like even going to like combat where like you're like, there's some systems that take it too far. There's some systems out there where like you're spending 35 minutes working out like the damage of one action in one turn, because like you have to take into like distance to target, and you're doing like actual like calculus. If you have to do calculus to determine, like, while doing math, like while just playing an RPG game, that's too far for me. Like that's way too far for me. But I also don't like just like, the best example I can give is like, it's just like a D&D game. Like D&D as a basic fighter. You're a fighter, right? You swing your sword, that's all that happens. With everything that's going to happen is just, you're a fighter, you swing your sword, that's it. Maybe you crit, maybe you don't. That's it, right? But I think it's really interesting for like melee characters and fighting characters if you go into that as a DM and you like, hey, let's add some injuries. Let's add some different stuff here at various levels that are like, make your combat, even though it's not like anything extra, it's just slightly more dynamic. I feel like D&D puts a lot of that on the player and in the DM, where they have to like, if you want to make your I swing my sword more exciting, you need to like narrate that yourself. And that's totally fine. You know what I mean? Being in a situation where you got to narrate, and it forces the player to more narrate and create that like complexity, whereas some systems are like innately very complex. I look at like Burning Wheel, or I look at what game is that, Ace of Spades, I think it's called. It's a Western game that I have the system laying around here somewhere in one of my PDFs for, where you can die during character creation.
What?
Yeah, you can die during character creation. You can, if you generate like the wrong like combinations of like things, because you roll dice to generate different things, and during a character you can generate the wrong like different combinations and end up with like a disease that murdered you like halfway down your story. So you can die during character creation. And yeah, and then like, I think is not Eternals. What game is it? It's another game where you can, while generating your character, you can like generating part of your backstory in your character. You could fuck something up and end up as a completely different race than you were when you started creating your character. So like, there's fun, cool stuff like that. I don't know. Like I like games that are like give the option for more complexity, and but also are relatively streamlined. Like a game that I think is like really simple, like Fate Accelerated. Fate Accelerated is simple, like keep it simple, stupid, kind of simple. It's the easiest system ever, and Webby hates it because it's like, and it sucks because like I think Fate Accelerated is a really bad taste for what Fate actually is, and we played that a lot in with Fate, Fate, and all that other stuff with John and Wardens of Annual and all that stuff. And Fate Accelerated, the accelerated rule book is very just to the point. Like I think it's like 20 some pages, where the actual Fate book is like 2 or 3 books and it's like a couple hundred pages. And there's a lot more you can do in the actual Fate game than there is in the Fate Accelerated game. But it's like I feel like the Fate Accelerated game was so simple, it turned players off who had more. It's not. I don't think it's meant. It's so simple. It's not meant for like these long term games that last like months, because after a while it just gets boring. It just boils down to I'm rolling 46, and I'm going to barter with my DM to try to get the best possible roll to try to explain myself. And it's like every time you're just trying to like argue for the best possible roll. Um, and it's kind of boring after a while. Like for me, like if a system is too simple, it gets boring after a while for me, and I can't keep playing it. That's kind of like not where I'm at with D&D, but that's kind of like me and D&D. That's why every time I play D&D, I try to play like a different class and something new and something different. Unless like I'm specifically going into a situation where like I know the group I'm going in is a power game situation, then I'm building my character from a power game perspective. But then I also have more. I have a different type of fun doing that than I do playing just like for RP or whatever type of game. If that makes sense. And I talked a lot, so I'm gonna let you guys talk for a minute on how you guys feel about like complex versus simple rule systems.
Well, I've only played in D&D. I played like one sesh in 3.5, but I've had 2 years of 5e experience, so I'll just say I'm content with the system. Technically, I did play in one other system for like a campaign that was like a couple sessions long. And it was similar to D&D. I don't remember what system it was, but it was a different adjustment because there was like maybes in like rolls. Like rolls had like brackets to them where it's like a 5 to 10 minute maybe and like a blah blah blah. And like that was interesting to adjust to, but so I don't know.
Sure. I mean, I guess like even not necessarily having the experience of playing, what would you say would be your like if you were presented with a rule system, what would be your, I guess, if you were presented with a rule system that you felt was like, would you feel like you would be turned off more by a system that was super easy to learn but not very in depth, or would you be turned off more about something that's like a really hard system like to get into, but once you get into it and you learn it, you have a lot more options in front of you for how you choose to do things?
Hmm. I feel like too simple at some point gets to be like kind of boring, but also again, I feel like I don't know if I could answer this like to an actual extent without having experienced the extremes myself. But I like how D&D functions. That's what I'm gonna say.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. How about you, Rob? I know you've played some more systems besides just D&D. Like, how would you feel about that?
Um, I mean, a simpler seems to almost always be better. But I mean, sometimes there's things where it can be fun. I forget what game we were playing, but like it had like total success, a success but, and then something minor bad happened, and then there's like failure, but there's a minor success or something. But I don't remember what game it was. But like that was kind of interesting because like even if you succeeded, you might have something go wrong. Even if you failed, something might go right, kind of thing. Uh, but yeah, I mean, usually the less complicated rules are, the easier it is for everybody to play. So a lot of times, if you're trying to figure out, like, you're like, oh, well, this happens, but wait, I also have this, and then this affects that, and then and then if you get into like percentages, it's like, oh God, now I have to take out a calculator to play this game.
That's fair. That's fair. I just know, like me, like I said, I find myself personally, if the system is too simple, I will lose interest more in the system. But it's a weird. I feel like D&D achieves the balancing perfect. I will say that it's one of the few systems I think that's perfect. Another system I think that does it perfectly is basic role playing, which is like the base system for Call of Cthulhu. But I think Call of Cthulhu streamlined it even a little bit more. Where it's an easy system to learn, really easy system to learn, and but it's complex enough to hold you and complex enough for you to keep playing like long term. Because like I don't know how you feel personally, Rob, but you played Fate Accelerated with Fate and John,
Mhm.
and yeah, John kind of like cut some corners, but he cut corners in an already simple system,
Yeah,
and I felt like after a while, it was just it was the system was too boring to like maintain and like go the distance for the length of time that we played that.
yeah,
Like, yeah, you know what I mean? I felt like if the system had a little bit more like something to like sink your teeth into and to be a little bit different than like everybody else that was there, you
Mhm.
maybe could have it would have been more like interacting and you could have like pursued other options. But at the end of the day, everything boiled down to just, well, how can I make this fit in my best stat and then roll for 46?
yeah,
and and you had a 30% chance, a 33% chance of it going positive, a 33% chance of it going neutral, and a 33% chance of it going zero. So realistically, if you're rolling with your best stat, you had a 66% chance of it going pretty okay. Um, which is not really like fun odds for me at all. And Donnie, I know you've played a lot of systems too.
Yeah.
Or you play tested and thought a lot of systems, so I'm sure you actually might have a good amount to say about this.
I have a favorite that I have not played, which might actually let you be able to guess it, because you mentioned it.
Call of Cthulhu?
No, but that would be
Mage
awesome
Knight?
too. Mage.
Mage, yes.
I
I
think
mean,
you and I would have a blast playing Mage.
yeah, Mage is a great game, but it's 100% depending upon you got to have players that are able to like stretch that weird brain muscle, like that. They got to be able to like connect those dots mentally and be able to do that because there's not really like people have gone out of their way to write books and like where you can like kind of like explain like some basic powers and like, oh, you could use two dots in this and a dot in this and a dot in this and combine them to do this effect, and this is the reasoning why. And people have done that, and that really helps out, especially like
I
first
think if we
starting out.
just stuck to those at first and tried to learn it that way, that would probably
Yeah,
make it more doable.
yeah, exactly. People have done that, and that's really cool. Like, there's whole entire like mage route. What is it? Mage route spells like things. Um, MTA, Mage the Awakening. Yeah, like casting. There's whole little different. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Just because this is for MTG. There we go. I don't want to do MTG because it'll what you call it. Mage the Ascension calculator. That's a route calculator. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, there's whole calculators online that will let you, or like spell helpers and shit, uh, from different things, and it's weird. And you got a bunch of different crap. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Or like
Yeah,
different routes you can pick.
I think I would
And
have a lot of fun with that, but I
yeah,
understand that some people would absolutely hate having.
Some
to
people
do
would
that.
absolutely hate it, or they would just like find like 4 things and they would just stick to doing those same 4 things over and over again. Um, and if you then took the time to like wanted to help them out, I think certain people would be really receptive to that, and certain people would really be like, "Yo, like leave my character alone." Um,
Fair.
and that's fine, like right. Um,
Matilda.
I could name a couple of people off the top of my head who I think would be very for it and against it. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, so there's different things to do because like it's different baseline, like because there's different. The thing about like mage that's complicated too is like not even just like what dots you have to combine and what to do. There's a certain amount of successes you would need to like do that kind of stuff, and then the damage is ambiguous. So it's like it's all like weird because like a lot of it. And I haven't had the chance to read over like the 20th edition, and I hope 20th edition may have streamlined it a little bit better. But or like the newest edition of Mage that came out. But it's yeah, it's weird. Like it's really weird. Like it's an honest to God, like really weird thing. Where you really have to I think there's a lot of that system is one of those systems where you need somebody who knows what they're doing like 100% through and through as the DM. Because you
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
you need the DM to hold your hand, especially early on, especially if you're a newer player, you need at least a more experienced player in that group. And I usually I don't hate that, but I usually like I'm not the biggest fan of like one or two really experienced players in a group of people who don't know what they're doing, unless
Yeah.
they intentionally go in for that with that knowledge. Like I told Webby, anytime he ever needs me to like, if he ever wants me to play in a game and I'm free, and with like newer people in D&D, I would be 100% down to do it. And I'm just going to make a mastermind rogue because the whole thing about the mastermind rogue is I'm just there to help you. Like that's it. Like I'm just there to help you. I'm gonna make a mastermind rogue and just give bonuses and do it that way. But that's like been like my plan. I'm gonna make a character that's intentionally the background character. I don't want to like more like a combat tactician. I don't want to like take anybody's shine. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here just to like provide some backbone to the group, and that's about it.
That's fair.
I think that would be
Yeah.
pretty fun.
It would be. I mean, and I can't really think of any other reason why to play a mastermind rogue outside of cheese, outside of cheese, like the cheese of me being a ancestral guardians barbarian centaur, and then Webby is a small creature as a mastermind rogue who sits on my back, and I willingly allow him to be my mount. Well, to be his mount, and then we get like triple bonuses.
Yes.
Because he gives me bonuses to hit being a mastermind rogue, but then also, or not even mastermind rogue, just like being a mastermind rogue or whatever he chooses to pick. He gets bonuses for mounted combat, and then I get bonuses. They would have disadvantage to try to hit him because of my ancestral guardians barbarian. Anytime they do hit him, I could then like curvy attack to me. It was a whole cheese thing I figured out. It was great. I've been bombarding away with a lot of like cheesy strategies in D&D that like technically work, but like will work one time and then the DM will throw the book at you after that.
Right,
So
right.
like, and they're fun. Like all I'm gonna say is Webby, raining elephants. That's all I'm saying.
The one where the druid summons like a bunch of animals, but summons them like 20 feet up in the sky. There was
Yeah,
one
not
that I
just sort of.
saw.
You have to do so that you're close. You're a druid. You have to be level 14. Be able to turn to an air elemental. You have to have the staff of swarming. You then cast swarming insects, which in 3.5e they don't specifically state it. In 3.5, cubic foot of a swarm is 1,000 creatures,
Jesus Christ.
1,000 tiny creatures. So you do that, and it covers 20 feet around you. That is something like 20,000 creatures. You fly
Good
over a
math, good
town or
math.
whatever you want to do. Thank you. And then you would cast what is a spell? That lets you change into let you change any creature in your area into another creature. It's a druid spell.
I don't know, bestie.
Change animal. I'll tell you in a second. 3, 2, 1. Animal shapes. There you go. Boom. You pass animal shapes, and then you just do shenanigans because you animal shape, which by the way, elephant fits the bill. It lasts for 24 hours. It's an 8th level spell. Choose any number of willing creatures that you can see within range. You transform each target into the form of a larger, smaller beast with a challenge rating 4 or lower. So you would just basically fly as high as you can in the sky and turn all your swarms into elephants. And so even if your DM was like, I'm not giving you 1,000, I'll give you 10 tiny like flies per foot. Okay, that's still 200. So I just turned 200. I'm dropping 200 elephants onto a town or an individual. So that's still a lot of damage.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
So you can do like shenanigans like that.
Do you want to hear the shenanigan our group invented at one point?
By all means, go for it.
I had a staff. My character had a staff of the woodlands, which, if you didn't know, you can stick the staff of the woodlands into the ground and say its word, and it'll change into a tree. So we had this idea, and we knew that it was basically impossible, but we also just loved it. If we could somehow impale an enemy on the staff and then have a tree rip up through their insides, that's all I'm saying. Put the butt on top of the staff.
Technically, the question is this. Technically, the question is this.
Ouch.
Technically, the question is this. If that would be funny, actually.
Yeah.
That would be really funny. I'd be down for that.
No one wants
Wait,
a tree up their ass. That's all I'm saying.
I'm sure you can find somebody out there.
Yeah.
There is some size Queen Tarask that would be down.
Size Queen
Jesus.
Tarask. Stop.
Wow.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
but you're right.
He is right. Am I wrong? Why are you booing me? You know I'm right.
Also, then there's also the glyph of warding shenanigans. Where you can, because part of the spell of glyph of warding is when you cast a spell, you can inscribe a glyph that harms other creatures, either upon a surface, such as a table or a section of floor or wall, or within an object that can be closed, such as a book. It does not say that it takes up the entirety of said book. You could theoretically take a book that's like 100 pages, and if you took the time to do it, you could cast, I don't know, a glyph of warding on every single page of the book. It takes an hour to cast it, but I mean, it would take some time. And every single page of the book would be fireball.
Oh my God.
And then, or just an explosive ruin, which is the one. There's basically fireball. It's 5d8, right? Dex saving throw, 5d8 fire damage, or whatever you want to do it. You then close said book and set it to trigger on a saying or a word or something along those lines. You then do what is the other one? The glyph of you either can do the explosive ruin if you don't want to waste the spell slot, or you can use spells and do a fireball, which is totally fine. But then you also can do the other glyph that I can't remember. Oh no, you can do a glyph and do a spell. Your last glyph will be a spell storing glyph. What's the spell that speaks the words? I can't think of right now.
Magic
I
mouth.
can't think of it either.
Magic mouth. That's the one. You do spell glyph with magic mouth, and you basically set all the pages to the same trigger word. And then you set that in your book. So if you want to like blow up a tower, for instance, like a mage tower, you do that, and then he opens
Just
the
so
book.
you know, as a random example.
Random example. So you walk in, you like, hey, this is like the Necronomicon. You take like a fake Necronomicon and you sit it on this podium, and they walk up like, finally, I have achieved this great Necronomicon. And they take a step on your glyph, which uses magic mouth, which then says the words and causes 100 pages to burst into flames, doing fireball damage. And a fireball is, how much is David's fireball top of my head, Donnie? I'm not sure.
Something 80-68 or something like that.
8d6.
8d6 the
Dex saving
opposite?
throw 8d6. So at
Listen,
100-page
I'm
book, that is
dyslexic.
800d6. So let's see. Let's just like assume
If they were all
uh
ones, you would still kill most things.
most things. Even if they made their saving throw. Because they would take half damage. Unless
Yeah.
they're a rogue. The rogue would be like the greatest thing ever. Fucking evasion rogue. Like, ha ha ha. Or uncanny dodge rogue. I made my saving throw, took no damage. I would cry. Let's see. So I'm doing a random dice roller for 800d6. Go. Roll. This might crash my
800d6. Jesus
might crash my
Christ.
computer. Not gonna lie to you right now.
Go to roll 20, do /roll.
So the first time I rolled it, I rolled 2,847 damage.
Jesus Christ.
The second time I rolled it, I rolled 2,803 damage. The third time I rolled it was 2,778 damage. So somewhere in the ballpark of like
Grand.
2,500 damage, right? So 2,500 damage. You make your saving throw. You take 1,200 damage, 250 damage. Like, I mean, you might survive that.
Who
Damn.
do you know that's gonna survive 2,000 damage?
It could be a barbarian. A barbarian.
Raging at level fucking
Raging
20.
bare-toting barbarian at level 20 who makes the saving throw, takes 1,250 damage, and only winds up taking 600 something damage of it. So you just have to figure out a way to like not die. Like,
Just as long as you have
all the
one
damage has to
over.
be at one time. All the damage happening at one time. So you had a feat that, or like an ability that, like when you died, you could come like stay alive at like 1 HP instead. Theoretically, you could survive. Theoretically, it's livable. It's livable. Theoretically, there is a chance. It's not a good chance, but there is a chance. Yeah. There's just like the YouTube channel that I like watch. They have like shorts where they'll talk about like ridiculous combos. And that was one of them. And I was laughing my ass off because I'm like, that actually would work. 1, 2, I was mad because like it would 100% get me.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me. It's overkill, honestly. You only needed to do like 6 pages in order for it to be effective, like to kill somebody.
You're right, but like, you
Go hard or
why
go
stop?
home, right?
Why stop?
Right? Infinite time
Why
and money,
stop?
right?
Why stop at 6? Just what's the point? Right? I mean, theoretically, you can take it up to like a 2. Why stop at 100 pages? Do 200 pages.
Because there's no copy machines. You had to do those all yourself. That's why I stop at.
I mean, it would always 800 pages, 100 pages.
Are you trying to kill a town?
100 hours, right? 100 hours. Assuming you can work 16 hours a day, that's only 6.25 days. Assuming you have a way of like inscribing Fireball that many times, you only have to technically do that. It's like 6.25 days. So not a big deal.
No, of course, not a big deal at all.
You could get there. Because like, let's see, like if you're a wizard, 3rd level spell, and that's if you cast it at regular level. You can technically upcast it.
Oh my god.
So as a wizard in 5e, let's say you're a level 20 wizard and you pulled off shenanigans because you just wanted to because you were bored.
How to bomb a single person 5e.
Yes. Actually, it's how to bomb anything in a 20-foot radius.
5e.
5e. For dummies. Let's see. So 5e SRD, boom, wizard. Hey, 20th level wizard at 3rd level spell, you'd have 3 you cast Fireball per day 3 times at 3rd level. So it's really Glyph of Warding, Glyph of Warding would be it's a 3rd level spell. Takes an hour. Higher level, if you just did the explosive Glyph rune, it'd be 1d8 for each slot above 3rd, but let's just stick to Fireball. So you cast it 3 times. So that's 3 times at 3rd level. You can cast it 3 more times at 4th level. That's 6 times. 3 more times at 5th level. That's 9 times. 2 times at 6th level. That's 11 times. 2 times at 7th level. That's 13 times. And then 1 is 8 and 1 at 9. That's 15 times a day. You can cast it 15 times. You can inscribe 15 pages a day. So at 100 pages in the book and inscribing it at 15 pages a day, you're looking at 100 pages in the book, 15 pages a day. You can finish this up in just over 6.5 days. That's all it takes. I mean, to be fair, like if I was a wizard, hear me out. If I was a wizard and I had like magical secrets on me, like I had like if I had like the actual Necronomicon on me, or I had something like superly dangerous on me, I would 100% have a book like this in my pocket as a self-destruct like device to make sure.
Like when you have those like poison capsules in your mouth, but like for collateral damage.
Like, this would be like a situation like, oh no, I'm going to die, and I'm going to let this necromancer have the Necronomicon. It's like, no, I'm not. We're not going down this road. I'm dying a hero's death. I'm dying
a fuck you and everyone around me's death.
Yes. And that's when I look at my barbarian and I go, I love you. And I jump in his arms and I say my words, which the words were, I love you. And I blow up the barbarian, who was Webby. And we die together because that's what he would want.
We die together. If I'm going down, I'm taking down all you fuckers with me.
If I'm going down, my party's not surviving, and I'm not. Like, fuck you guys, first off. I'm a wizard. You should have protected me. That's my logic. I'm a wizard. You should have protected me. If I go down before the fighter goes down, I'm taking the fighter down with me. That's all I'm saying. Some may look at me and say that I am a bad partyman. Others may look at me and say I'm a man of culture. You decide. I don't know. That's not really for me to say. Hey, Rob. How long have we been recording? He's like, you've been talking for too goddamn long, Devin. I'm like, you right.
Yeah, you're good.
Started at 4:42.
All right, we're almost
even
there.
know yet.
All right, awesome. So
here, I have a question.
Answer by all means.
All right. What is one race or class that you would never play? Or what's one that you like have always wanted to play but haven't gotten to yet?
Oh, that's really easy. This is gonna be really funny, actually, but I'll answer last. I've been talking a lot. I'll let everybody else go first.
I think it's not like I'm down. See, here's the thing. I'm wanting to play every class eventually. So like that's like one of my goals. I just think it'd be fun. I'm trying to think if there's like a race that I inherently wouldn't want to play. On the one hand, like I feel like human will be one of the last ones I try because it could be quote unquote, just very in quotes, default or boring. And that's what some people think. And that's sometimes what I think, but also sometimes that's fun. So like I'm in a fantasy world. I want to play everything that I physically cannot be. But yeah. Rob and Donnie, what about you guys? What's one that you'll either absolutely never play or that you really want to play, class or race?
Like fantasy world games, I'll play a human and I'll just be successful.
That's a fantasy, you right.
Well, I mean, I do like humans.
I know. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
you've told me why.
Yeah. Well, for the audience, it's just because it's easier for me to relate to a human because I am a human, so I know what like they feel and what.
That's exactly what someone who wasn't human would want us to believe, right?
Right, that is true, Rob. 5e.
I'm clearly a human, so it's easy for me to relate to humans. Clearly, wink, wink.
You and your giant dog aren't here to unmask me like I'm Mr. Grover or whatever.
We can't unmask you. We would try. It would just be your face. Be like, he's a human all
along. But like for classes I haven't played, I haven't technically been a paladin yet because that game hasn't started. And I've never been a wizard or a warlock. I think that's it though. I think I've been everything else.
The rarest class of all.
As for something I wouldn't want to play, I don't know. I don't think there's really anything that I wouldn't try.
I feel that. Donnie?
I don't think I would ever play a ranger.
God damn it.
And it's not even like I love the theme of Rangers. I just feel like you could do them better with other classes.
I would play a Ranger in Webby's game. Only reason why
Yes.
because he gives them bonuses. But like if I sat down, I might be willing to like mess around with one of the like the Drake Warden one, the new one. I'd be willing to mess around with the Drake Warden. I'd be willing to mess around with either the Swarm Keeper or the Fey Wanderer. Basically, all of the new stuff. So the Drake Warden, the Swarm Keeper, and the Fey Wanderer. I would be interested to mess around with one of those. But that's about it for me on that one. But that's a separate issue. But go on, Donnie.
I mean, that's really it. Sorry, I'm having a mute. I'm having a sneezing fit. Just there's nothing, at least personally, obviously it's my own opinion. There's just nothing that I feel like Rangers do that you can't emulate and also mechanically have better advantages with other classes.
That's
For
fair.
example, I think fighter archers are better than ranger archers, and that should not be the case.
You're
Or
right. It shouldn't
very,
be.
very specifically, if you want to talk about like fighter very specifically better, a half elf fighter samurai archer is
Yeah.
stupid because you
Yeah.
can take elder accuracy and get triple advantage.
Yeah, that was almost what I played with in this other game, but switched at the last
Who
second because I
wouldn't
wanted
want
the
triple
feat.
advantage?
I just wanted the feat that bad. We started at level 1.
I mean, at least at level 1, you still probably have more health than a commoner, but not a lot. It's close.
You say that. You say that. I've always been killed by a farm boy, and I don't want to go down that road again.
Fuck you up. Pew pew.
The
Okay.
farm boy did fuck me up. He did. He did. that happened. All right. So I guess it's my turn now, right?
Yeah.
This is the difficult part. Like, there's really not a race I wouldn't play. I guess like if you had to like put a race in front of me and be like, all right, these are your races you got. Like, if you were like, what race would I be like? I guess the least interested in playing, probably a shifter. That I just don't think like they're cool, but they're not like unique enough for me to like really want to like make me want to play them. But like if I had to play one, I wouldn't be like upset about it. I guess it's kind of the best way to put it. I've played every class in D&D. Only class I've only played the least amount of is actually the wizard, which is hilariously funny.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
The least because I mean I just really don't like I enjoy it. I don't enjoy playing the wizard, but I do. It's weird.
Donnie's like, can't relate.
No.
I
And like,
enjoy
well,
playing the
thing
wizard.
is just like every group I'm in, the wizard's never really needed. Like it's usually like if I could help it, the character class I'm never playing it is a cleric because I'm always a fucking cleric. I'm always
You know
like
that Webby will always play the cleric if no one else will, right?
Well, I know. Like then that's the only situation I would if he wanted to play something else, but nobody else wanted to be a cleric. That's the only situation where I would legit be the cleric. I would play a druid, I would play a bard over the cleric. I would
Fair.
play I
Be a
played
druid healer.
You can. I mean, really, that's another D&D episode of like, do you actually need a dedicated healer in D&D, or can you get by with like a minor healer? Like, do you really need a cleric? Like the major healers of D&D in past have been considered the cleric and the druid. The cleric being like the supreme healer. Do you really need a cleric or a druid in your party to be a healer, or can you get by with like a bard? And
Webby has a character that's a rogue that can bonus action shove a potion down your throat, where it's normally an action. So like, like that's a rogue healer, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
Expensive.
You're not wrong. I really would love to play one of my favorite builds of cleric though, because I think it's hilarious. Is is the cleric with the bow, because you can take the feat or the ability that lets you use your wisdom modifier.
I want to make an alchemist that can invent splash potions of healing like there are in Minecraft.
Well, kind of like that. But the thing with the cleric bow, and I always like to like iterate, is like literally when he heals you at range, he's just shooting you with a mystic arrow in the back. So like you're on the ground like dying, and you just get shot in the chest with a mystic arrow. Like, and that's his healing bolt.
There was a fucking build, and I don't remember, I think it was a cleric, where they gave you better healing if you were unconscious. So we joked about them being like, I'm at 1 hit point, help me. And they're like, yeah, you're right, knocks him out, heals him.
Like, all right, hey, listen, don't move. Or like, I love like the monk. I like one of the monks. Which one is it? The
Punch him.
mercy monk. One of them has like the lay on hands
The
ability.
Way of
I
Mercy.
just
Yeah.
always picture them just like punching their ally to heal them.
Yep. That's
Just
Way
like
of
real
Mercy.
quick,
Yeah.
they just like pull their fist back and just pop them right in the face. Bah! All right, you're good. You're good. Get out there, buddy. You know, there's like or you could play like a paladin with like lay on hands. Play a paladin of the Catholic Church and just slowly drag him in like a back room and do like a light caressing, and then you step back out. That may have been a joke in the Catholic priest. Maybe
Well.
not. I don't know. It'd be funny. There's a lot you could do. There's a lot of weird things you could do. Or like warlock. Celestial warlock can put out a lot of fucking healing. Also, they get cure wounds on their spell list. Granted, I mean, warlocks can cast like 3 spells a day, but that's not important. But they get healing light at first level. Pool at D6s. So let's say you had like in your party, your 2 spellcasters in the party was a warlock, a celestial warlock, and a divine soul sorcerer. Is that enough healing to forego an actual dedicated healer? I think it is. I don't think you actually need a dedicated healer that much in D&D. In 5th edition specifically. Just like you don't really need a dedicated tank. There's not like a dedicated tank. There are a couple of classes that have implemented it where you can like take it and build yourself to be like a dedicated tank. But like in previous editions, like your fighter and your barbarian were like your dedicated like frontline melee tanks. And I feel like you don't really necessarily need that role. It's not a required role in your party anymore. Like a dedicated healer and a dedicated tank aren't really required in like in general group makeup. It may help you down the line and it may make certain things easier, but it's definitely not something I don't think where you really need.
Yeah.
It's not a
That's fair.
requirement, in my opinion.
I'm with you on that. It's always extremely nice to have a dedicated healer, but
Yeah,
it's not.
but like
It shouldn't
if
be
you did,
necessary.
I just kind of want to not. I just want to make a druid, but he doesn't take any healing spells. He just take good berries, and like here, this is like you get.
Here, 1 hit point. 1 hit point for
fucking,
you.
You're getting fucking good berries. There you go. That's your fucking healing. I got my face. Like
Good
for every
berries
combat,
smoothie?
he just walks up and hands you a handful of good berries. All right, here you go. These are sensu beans. Fucking use them wisely. I'm not healing shit. I'm gonna be a bear. Bye.
Yep.
I'm gonna be
I'm
a bear.
a moon druid bear. Bye.
I'm gonna be a bear. Bye. That's your healing. That would actually be a really funny druid. I'd play that druid. Did they like redo the sports druid? I heard the sports druid is really good. I haven't had a chance to play
I've heard
it.
that too, but I haven't really looked at it.
The shepherd druid is amazing, but like your DM will hit you. The dreams druid is pretty fun. Also, a good amount of healing. Also, the dreams druid is really nice because you don't actually have to take healing spells. If you have somebody else who can do any type of healing in your party, like if you have a dreams druid and a bard, you don't need any other healing. You're good because they get the whole pool of d6s. As a bonus action, I can spend and it equals your level in the class, so up to 20 d6 of healing. As a bonus action, you can choose an ally you can see within 120 feet of you and spend a number of those dice equal to half my druid level. Roll the dice, add them together. You may also gain 1 temp hit point per dice spent. I mean, it's pretty nice, right? So like 20 healing, like, hey, boom, you're hurt. All right, boom. Bonus action, 5d6. and you're gonna come back to life with what is that on average? 17, 18 hit points and 5 temp HP. Boom, there you go. That's all you need from me.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
That plus some good berries. That's all you're getting. Fuck on my face. What do you think this is? And I'm charging you for those good berries. Like you're getting charged. This is not a free service here.
We joked about that. We've been like, you guys gonna pay me now for healing spells? Come on.
Webby's done that. Webby had a coffer, like a fucking he carried around a coffer. That's how me and Webby created our demon and lich combo. We were originally like travel buddies, and it was way back when Colin was still running around, and I was just like, "Yo, I'm playing Roy as a sorcerer." I was like, "All right, Webby, I'm just gonna pay you up front for healing. Let's just do this because I see how this is gonna go." I forgot what group I was in, but like, I almost got murdered being attacked by squirrels, and I was just like, "All right, Webby, I'm gonna pay you up front because I think it was like it was. I'm just gonna say the names who I believe was in this group, and I will let you guys comprehend the level of like insanity that happened in this group. If I remember correctly, this group was myself, Webby, Austin, Sabrina, and it either was I think Tamara or Emily. I think it was Emily. May have been Tamara, but I think it was Emily. That would be the group. All of you who know who all I'm talking about, you already understand the level of this group. And yeah, I almost died. Like at character introduction with Colin being a DM who's doing way too much. My character introduction was me getting attacked by a swarm of squirrels while fighting off orcs at level 1 as a sorcerer. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
So you have like what, 2 spells?
He didn't even give me like a heads up. It was legitimately like, all right, this is what's up. These squirrels have a surprise round. And I'm like, wait, what?
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you guys are good. There you go. You get 20
it's fine.
You get 20 I can make 20 good berries. I'll give each of you guys 5 good berries. You're good. They heal 1 hit point. That's all it is. It's up to you guys.
If I could just put all 5 in my mouth at once, then I don't have to eat for 5 days. And
no, you can use the action to eat 1 berry.
No, there's a handful in my palm. You don't understand. I can just shove them in my mouth.
Berry. They're very large berries. They're large berries. You can chipmunk.
I have a large mouth.
You can chipmunk the other 4. You can chipmunk the other 4 in your cheeks, but you cannot
swallow them whole.
You cannot.
Want to fucking bet?
Yes, I do. You could not swallow them whole.
I keep imagining. Not gonna lie, when I picture good berries, I picture gooseberries. Have you ever seen gooseberries before?
I have.
Yeah, that's what I picture when I picture good berries. Specifically, that color of green with that kind of look to it.
There was an image of good berries out there. They were like kind of fucking huge. If I remember correctly, like they were like they were kind of obnoxiously huge. Why are there children screaming? The fuck?
Well, it says up to 10 berries appear in your hand. They can't be that fucking big.
I mean, they weren't like okay, not like
single hand.
Stupid huge, but like I remember correctly by the image, they were like grape size, like large grape sized. Which I mean, if you're swallowing those things whole, it's not gonna happen. You're not.
I can crunch 5 grapes. I can crunch 5 grapes in my mouth at once.
Lies. I mean, you probably can.
I can't.
That's not hard. But yeah, lies. I'm calling lies for reasons. Lies. Also, real quick to wrap this up, to get slightly off D&D, because we talk a lot of D&D and RPG stuff. I'm gonna run through some. I guess I just looked up movie remakes on IMDb, so I guess we're gonna be getting some remake movies. The next remake movie coming out is Hellraiser. They're remaking Hellraiser. It comes supposed to come out in October this year. It looks good. I don't know. Is it written by Clive Barker? I don't know.
I hope it's good. Hellraiser is one of my favorite.
Hellraiser 1 is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
I do not like all the other ones are like. So the ones that stand out are Hellraiser. I'm looking forward to that. I hope that actually is good. Obviously, in 2023, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. That looks, for what I've seen, that looks good. I hope it is good, but it looks good. Good old Chris Pine being the bard. Michelle Rodriguez as the barbarian. Rajon Page as the paladin. Justice Smith as the sorcerer, which I do like. I actually do like the casting in this group. I ain't gonna lie. Sophia Lillis as the druid. Hugh Grant as the rogue, which makes odd sense. Fucking Hugh Grant, man. Why are children yelling?
Hugh Grant.
The one that's the most
Huge
sketched out
Jackman.
to me. The one that's the most sketched out to me in 2023 is Gremlins 3. So
Okay.
they're making a Gremlins 3.
Apparently, yes.
To give you an idea, Gremlins 2 came out in 1990. Gremlins 1
Listen, they
came
might
out
be making.
in 84. They're
might-
not remaking Gremlins. They are making a sequel. They're making a 3 over 20 years later.
Hey,
No,
Avatar
30 years
2
later.
is coming out this year, apparently. How long?
Hey.
Avatar 1 was in like 2000?
Other
I thought they were
movies that
completely
are like,
remaking Avatar, the movie.
It's
I hope so.
Avatar 2 The Way of Water by James Cameron.
oh boy, oh no.
I'm not talking about The Last Airbender, by the way. I'm talking about the blue people.
There you are.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
If you were talking about that, I was like, oh yeah, we're looking for the new adventures of Ong.
that's what I
Ong.
thought you were saying. That's why I said I hope they
Ong.
remake it.
Then
No,
they,
Netflix was supposed to remake like a live action thing at one point, but that was
canceled. I'm actually happy.
Yeah.
Netflix has been letting me down on live action shit recently, and yeah, like Netflix. This is a message to you, Netflix. I'm gonna get real close to the mic here. Stop making live action adaptations of anime. Just stop.
everyone should. Just everyone. If it's
Like,
animated, it's for a
is
reason.
Anime for a reason. Like it is.
There are
It's
things
anime
you
for a reason.
cannot do in real life that are
And-
done in anime and animation.
And it's not true. You can. You can do a lot. You can do CGI. You can do a lot. The problem is like your
It's
whole
expensive
movie
as
is going to
shit.
be CGI, and a lot of people do shitty CGI. So
It's because they're
Netflix,
not unionized and they're overworked.
exactly. Also too, they're making a Goonies 2 coming out in sometime in estimated 2027.
Also, I want
Why?
to say this just because I have a film production degree, so I feel like I am allowed to speak on these topics with some authority.
I am super happy. Also, in things that need to die recently.
Hold on. A friend of
Salted-
mine. A friend of mine wrote a script for Goonies 2 a couple months ago, and then that news came out, and he's like, "They fucking stole my script."
They fucking stole this script.
I mean, to be fair, me and Webby have said that we've talked about a lot of shit, and then we've like, yo, they stole our idea, Webby. That's like the FBI's listening, man. They're listening.
The FBI guy is
Yeah.
listening to
Well,
our
yeah.
podcast.
He actually wrote out the whole script, like a whole sequel script. Like it wasn't just an idea; he actually wrote the whole script out.
Are any of the plot elements of his script?
I don't
Guess we'll
know.
find out.
I've read his script. I haven't seen what the plot is for the second movie though.
Let's see
But
if they
I'll
look
find
the
out.
plot for the second movie. Let's see. I doubt it because it's 2027. Yeah, plot undisclosed. A
Yeah.
follow-up to the 1985 film The Goonies. You
It's
know
because
what
they
movie
hope
should
that your friend will have forgotten by then that,
You want to know
that
what
they
movie
stole
they
his
should
script.
remake? They should make a movie version of The Langoliers. Anyone who has done previous SU
Oh God,
episodes
no.
will know what The Langoliers are. Mr. Toomey, Mr. Toomey, Mr. Toomey. Constantine 2, 2023. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe in 2024.
Is that a live action or is that
a
an
live
animated?
action one. A
Oh,
live
God.
action one. And Kyle Allen will be playing Prince Adam / He-Man. I'm gonna post a picture of Sir Kyle Adam here. Or Allen, not Adam.
Spoilers. What if people don't know that Prince Adam is He-Man?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. my bad.
Yeah,
All I'm gonna say is my guy's gonna have to put on a little bit of muscle for this He-Man role. Unless you're gonna like CGI his like muscles on or something. I can't post the actual picture. It won't let me do it from IMDb, so I'll just post the image here. And you can look at Kyle Allen. There's Kyle Allen. He's gonna be Prince Adam / He-Man.
Oh, it posted the picture. Oh yeah, he's very skinny.
Did you have to put on a little bit of muscle? A little bit of muscle. Honestly, I would laugh at it, but I would almost 100% watch a movie as long as they promise to put him in like the 80s or like the
foam suit.
no, like the 80s. I'm gonna get to what I'm talking about. Like the 80s blonde wig. Like put him in the blonde bob wig. Put him in the Sia wig. Get the Sia wig. Put him in the Sia wig. Dave Bautista as He-Man. I would watch that in a heartbeat. Just fucking Dave Bautista in the Sia wig running around with a sword. I would be like, yes, this is my movie. He's already accustomed to wearing like small trunks. This is perfect. This is perfect. And who's gonna play Skeletor? Randy Orton. Done. There you go. WWE casting. Boom. I'm casting everybody out as wrestlers. I feel like that would be I gotta do it. We gotta do that with Webby one day. We need to like pull up like 5 movies and recast all of them, but just with wrestlers. Recast entirety of the movies with just wrestlers.
I think I would enjoy the He-Man movie if Skeletor did his yelling memes through the whole thing and then just ran away. Until next time.
Yeah.
That's the part they don't understand. They keep remaking this shit. I'm like, you guys realize that's the He-Man we want? Like, He-Man is not a cool character. Like, in modern day, He-Man is not cool. Stop trying to make He-Man cool. Like, to a young audience, a modern audience, He-Man is not cool. It is not a cool character. Stop trying to make him cool. Embrace the camp. Embrace the camp, and it will be successful. I guarantee freaking it.
Yeah,
And now I just think of the fucking He-Man song.
The redone She-Ra, I loved it, but like they made it very funny with like drama thrown in, obviously, but like they made it very hilarious, and I really liked that.
Yes. And now I'm just thinking of the What's Going On He-Man, which is the greatest YouTube video of all time, maybe outside of Banana Bread at Work. Banana Bread at Work is a great YouTube video too. All right, and I'm just rambling, so we're gonna be done. All right, Rob, you got some science corner for the day?
Yep. So Science Corner, AI is getting able to read our brains.
Oh shit.
So they've been like trying to develop AI to be able to read the brains of people that basically can't communicate, that are like stuck in comas but are awake. So they've been testing it and like having people like having it monitor their brain activity, and like they would think a word, and it's been 73% accurate at guessing what word people are thinking. So
Interesting.
Yep.
Now I wait patiently for the day that they can I can like think a story in my head and AI will type it for me.
That's fair.
The only problem is it will like type every thought. It's like blah blah. Oh, that's kind of a terrible sentence. Should I change it? It's just writing all the sense you're thinking it.
I can edit it afterwards. That's not the hard part.
All right, and now life advice with Devin. Life advice. You don't always need a plan. Sometimes you just need to breathe, trust, let go, and see what happens. And that's the part of my life I'm at right now. I'm just kind of just along for the ride. And I think it's fair. That's fair. Don't overthink things. I overthink everything. At least I used to. Now I'm just kind of letting things go. And see what happens. See where it ends up. It might be great. It might be bad. If I'm not here in 2 years, it probably went bad. Let's find out.
I feel like that deserves snaps, like the way you introed that. Like I feel like I need to snap as like a response to that now instead of like an applause, you know, like a
Yeah. Exactly. 100%. You are correct. That is the only way to act like that. Also, all right. Rob, how do we end these? I always forget. Like,
You asked where they find people on the internet.
That's right. Where do we find? I didn't see it because I'm used to like Webby doing like the exit music and then doing all that, and it throws me off. But we don't do any of that. We do it in post. This is weird. What's going on, everybody? All right. Anyway, hey Apple, where can people find you at on the internet?
I have a YouTube channel, Apple Schloss, and I have a Twitter and an Instagram. They're both Apple Schloss 21.
I love like your online name. It's great. Apple Schloss is great. It really is.
Thank you. A friend said it. A friend made it for me.
That's because your friend's great.
There was like 50 Caitlins in my school, and there was no Schlosses, so everyone started calling me Schloss, and I like that. And my favorite fruit was apples. And my friend was like, "Haha, apple Schloss, like applesauce." And then I made that every username I own. That's the story.
That's a great story. No, it really is. Like I actually love that. That's great.
That's why for the longest time everybody called me Edquist because they knew so many Robs. It's like
well, we had a bunch of Robs and they all left, so now we don't have any more Robs.
Yeah.
And even though he has not been on here he has not been a part of Distractions for a while, you are still the second best Rob. We have to keep the bit going.
Yeah.
You will forever be the second best Rob.
Eh.
Also unethical life advice. If you ever want your friends to treat you better, just look at them and be like, "Oh, hey, you're the second. Like Donnie, you're the second Donnie I know, but he treated me better than you." Doesn't have to be true. But if I say that, he subconsciously will then start treating me better because he wants to be the best Donnie.
I want to be the very best.
Like no one
Donnie,
ever was. Donnie doesn't exist. So he's just gonna treat me better.
This is the new intro song.
He's just gonna treat me better, knowing that they're out there in the world. I met another Donnie who treated me better than he does currently. So, which is not possible. Donnie treats me very well, people, very, very well. I love Donnie with all my heart. Speaking of which, Donnie, where can they find you online?
Rob, speaking of Donnie, Rob, where can people find you?
I was gonna say, wait, what?
That's what I was about to do. Donnie, speaking of Donnie, Rob, where can they find you online?
Donnie, I don't know if I'm supposed to go or not. Do I go? Does Rob go?
Yes, Donnie, go. We know you don't have shit online. You don't have an online presence.
Sure do.
You do?
No.
Bullshit. Prove it.
At Jax Forest Walker, all one word.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. You bought it off Webby. You bought the Jax Forest Walker handle off of Webby.
I sure did. Everybody messaged me, so I know who it is.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. And all right, Rob, where can you find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Confessor_X and on Twitch at twitch.tv/ConfessorX.
Awesome.
Playing the last month of Overwatch. It's going to be going forever.
My God, it's so terrible. That's awful. Oh my God, the last month of Overwatch. Whatever will we do?
Listen, I like Overwatch, okay? Overwatch 2.
Oh, no. I used to love Overwatch. I did. But then I realized, I realized how infuriated Overwatch, made me. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to delete this game. So I deleted it. And I've been a happier and more productive and better person ever since.
Yeah, nobody plays it anymore but me.
It is Rob is literally the only person in North America that still plays Overwatch. He queues for 40 hours, and then they're all just bots of himself.
Yep.
True story. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, you guys can find me on the internet at DMP_Pookie. You can find me on Twitch at Mr. D3. And as always, you can find me on eBay, rambling and trying to find some banana bread at work. Hell yeah.
Actually,
Rob has banana bread.
B still plays too. I play with B all the time. But yeah, I made banana bread because Webby wanted it.
Banana bread is delicious. Also, too, since you did that, you should watch that video I posted once this is over because this video is hilarious. But it always fuck Booster Gold, guys. Right? Fuck Booster Gold.
Yeah.
Fuck Booster Gold.
I ain't the kind to wear a tie. Button up from 9 to 5. I tried that life but said goodbye. I'm not always polite, but I get the job done. Who says the world can never leave us?
Yeah, I was spoiled having in-person.